starting point for you, a photo, and part of your journey. Real quick. If you want to just look at a couple of days, we usually do it about 4 or 5 days. Yeah, that's hard work. Welcome. Talk to your mom. She's excited. And rightly so, she's your biggest fan. I guess your wife and your kids. Well, I haven't dropped in on you, but I had so many questions and struggled trying to get up to speed. So you're anytime you anytime you have a question, even stupid computer, getting something or trying to figure out what it is.
Mark Harrington used to yell out, Jim, where'd they put the W key again?
Good morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order of our Board of Supervisors, July 17th, 2023. I'd like to welcome our newest supervisor to the dais, Clay, and he has in a non-public ceremony, he has been sworn in, so he will be able to participate in today's meeting, and we will have I think we're going to have a small ceremony, a public ceremony, and with the opportunity for friends and supporters to come and to congratulate him. So, congratulations to our newest member.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Clay Mack. We will start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll have our probation department director and courts director, Josh Halverson, lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. This is our last meeting in July, and I have 2 meetings in August, and then I'm turning over the reins of the chairmanship to Vice Chairman Howard. So he got 6 weeks to get ready. No, he's already ready. Like to welcome our first item of business is our Sheriff P.J. Allred, and like to welcome him to make a presentation regarding a renewal of a agreement for the jails.
Mr. Chairman,
Good morning, gentlemen.
do you want to approve the minutes first? Or?
Yeah, he's already up there. I'll do the minutes, but thanks. There's a new format for that we're using for printing out our agendas, and so it's real easy to. I'm used to the old format, so it's easy to skip over. But that's one of that Vice Chairman is definitely a detail person. So thank you very much. We'll do that after we hear from our sheriff.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Supervisor Mack, for sure. Appreciate that. Yeah, we have one item today. We're asking for the approval of the Guardian RFID agreement, Addendum B, for an initial 1-year term with 3 1-year extensions. Basically, what that Guardian is it takes care of our inmate count inside of our jail. It takes care of inmate service, helps keep track of those folks inside there, their different needs inside there. It also assists and helps us with our walks through the jail, where we can record when our folks have been at different parts of the jail and checking inmates. It's a very handy, very important piece of equipment for us.
Very good, thank you. It's been in operation, successfully operating, what, for 4 or 5 years now?
Since the jail opened, we've had
Okay,
it.
so we're just
The new jail, I should say.
an annual licensing fee and service fee. Any discussion?
Oh, I think it's just great. So I'll make a motion to approval of the Guardian RFID agreement. Addendum B for initial 1-year term with 3-year 1-year extension.
I'll second it.
Thank you, and I'll make that unanimous, and that carries. But I have a question: how do they? I mean, unless they're wearing something, how does this log each of the individual inmates in?
Of course, each of the inmates, I mean, they have their own identification when they're inside of our facility that are assigned to them specifically.
Right.
But, so I mean, so whenever they come in, well, that's just logged into that account of any special needs that they may have, things like that. Also, I guess for a better way of saying it, you probably walk around Safeway, Bashes or whatever, and you've seen the people walk around their sweep, and then they show where they're swept that alley or aisle or whatever. It's kind of similar to that as we do our walks through the jail. Our detention officers, they will scan where they've been. If there's special needs for inmates, they'll scan where they have been there with that inmate. It documents, hopefully, things in the long run that will prevent us from getting in some kind of a controversial issues that we don't need to be in.
Very good, okay. Well, thank you very much, and have a safe and productive week.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You're welcome. Next, we'll do our minutes while we're waiting for our Health Department Director to come up. Minutes of the last meeting have been issued. Any comments, discussion, changes?
None here. Make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting and work session held on July 3rd, 2023.
I second it.
Thank you very much, Supervisors. I'll make that unanimous, and that carries. Next, Brian Douglas, our Health Department Director. He has 3 items of business.
Good morning, everyone. The first item is requested the board approve the Healthy People, Healthy Communities IGA block grant amendment number 3. Within the Healthy People, Healthy Communities block grant, there's like 5 separate health department programs. And one of the programs in there is the tobacco program. And there was just some operational changes to the IGA on the tobacco part of it.
I saw where it was redlined and things like the ASU's now going to take care of survey, crunching the survey results, things like that.
Right.
Did you set that up? I know you're a big ASU fan.
Actually, I'm not a huge ASU fan. It's just I'm financially obligated because my family's gone there and so much of my money's gone to ASU.
Okay, very good. Any discussion?
Actually, I do like ASU, but I'm a Big Ten fan.
Okay. Any other discussion?
No, I'm good. Make a motion to approve the Healthy People, Healthy Communities IGA block grant amendment number 3.
And I'll, a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, and I'll make that unanimous. These are funds that come from the state and come to us, so we're not spending directly the county's money, we're spending the citizens of the state's money, so. And next?
On the second item, it's requested the board approve a 5-year tuberculosis control IGA with Arizona Department of Health Services for $12,000 annually.
Discussion?
Yeah, I think I asked you this once before, Brian. Tuberculosis, are you seeing an uptick because of the situation we're in along the border here?
Yes, our tuberculosis grant has been doubled here recently, and it's doubled because we have an influx of cases.
Okay.
And I will follow up with another discussion question, and that is I saw the funding is for administering the program, but is there money available for like a TB clinic where people can come and either be tested or receive the immunization? Mm-hmm.
Right, we have a TB clinic weekly, and folks can come in on Monday morning and be tested. And if they do test positive, we have on contract a local doctor that will prescribe the appropriate medications and so on, and x-rays and things of that sort.
If they aren't access patients and are uninsured or underinsured, how is that paid for?
That this grant will pick up those.
Okay, I just didn't see those details, so I was...
Those expenses, yes.
And are most of your people, your walk-ins, food handlers certificate purposes, or do you get members of the community to come in?
Members of the community, those who work in education, with food, with the elderly, that they have to pass a tuberculosis screening for their position.
Okay, very good. Money well spent.
Make a motion to approve the 5-year tuberculosis control IGA with Arizona Department of Health Services for $12,000 annually.
I second it.
Thank you. I'll make that unanimous.
And finally, it's requested the board approve out-of-state travel for Lisa Maston to attend the annual National Environmental Health Association's conference in New Orleans, Louisiana at the end of this month. One of the main reasons that we would like to send Lisa is it's going to, it does educate our environmental health specialists with the newest National Food Code, which was last published in 2017. And this new food code is, the state of Arizona will adopt that food code here in the next few months. And we need to be updated on that.
Very good. And is this general funds, or do you have?
This is the health department slush fund.
Okay, well, I don't know if you want to say
Well, I mean, not
slush.
slush fund. What's-
Okay. Discretionary fund, discretionary.
Yeah. Sorry, discretionary funds.
Okay.
Let's get out of this one. No, I just want to thank you guys, Brian, being in the food business and stuff. Your health department does a great job. We get inspected. She's very courteous and does a good job. Of course, it always helps because we pass. I guess that's why I'm happy. But anyway, thank you guys for what you do over there. So, with that being said, I'll make a motion to approve the out-of-state travel for Lisa Maston to attend an annual National Environment Health Association Conference in New Orleans, July 31st through August 3rd.
I'll second it.
I'll make that unanimous, and with the comment that if this was during Mardi Gras, I might ask a few more questions, but anyone who's been to Louisiana, New Orleans in the summertime, that's going to be a working conference. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Next, we have Josh Halverson, who we introduced earlier, and he has 4 items of business. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Yes, I have three limited services contracts that I bring before you. These are for this year to be used during fiscal year 2024 for some of the services and treatment that we are obliged to provide to our clients, people on probation. So the first one is approval of the yearly contract agreement with End Process Treatment and Assessment, Inc. That is Scott Nagley is the provider. It's to provide juvenile sex offender counseling in group and individual settings. Mr. Welker very helpfully reminded me, I believe last year, there was some question and just wanting to know about the liability insurance for these providers. And so I reached out to both End Process and the one I'll tell you about in a little bit, and did receive a cover sheet back that shows their information. And to my understanding, it meets the requirements that the county requires. And I will provide that so it can be kept with the copy of the contracts.
Very good. And any questions, comments?
No.
I was wondering, when we have our juvenile offenders that are in Florence that we're housing in Pinal County, is their treatment that they receive there covered by their in-house counseling, or are we, in addition to the daily fee, are we then paying for their sex offender counseling?
Good question. Of the juveniles that are in detention, some might fall into this category, some don't, right? Some may have sex offenses, some don't. While they're in there, we don't pay an additional fee or cost for treatment. Everything that they do provide while they're in detention is covered by the daily cost that we pay. Though also our provider can and does sometimes still connect with them while they're in that facility if needed to provide treatment while they're there. So that's separate. But it is not an additional cost that Pinal County puts on us or anything like that.
Okay, but if Mr. Nagley is in touch with them, then he's billing us.
Correct, but it would be just as if they were also here out
Yes.
of.
Understood, and it's
Correct.
important for continuity too.
Correct.
My other question is, and this is more of a general, but trending, do we, this is an open-ended contract, we don't have a certain number of hours, whatever is needed. What are the trends through the years? Are we seeing more and more counseling required and a more expenditure, or what's the direction on that?
Good question. It's probably easiest to answer in that we are gradually seeing an increase of juveniles that fall into this category with these types of crimes. It fluctuates. So we provide the treatment. The treatment is pretty uniform, weekly type treatment or every other week with the youth, with each youth. But yes, we are gradually seeing that unfortunately there are more and more these types of offenses that are occurring.
Okay.
So we are working with more youth.
Yeah, that's, sorry to hear that.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, sorry to hear that. Any other discussion?
No. I'll make a motion to approve the yearly limited service agreement with In-Process Treatment and Assessment, Inc., provider Scott Nagel, to provide juvenile sex offender counseling groups and individual counseling for FY24.
I'll second it.
And I'll make that unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. The next contract is also with In-Process Treatment and Assessment, Mr. Nagley. This is specific to providing assessment services, which is like testing and evaluations with both juvenile and adult offenders. No change really in any of the terms in the contract, actually none at all. He has worked with us the previous 3 years. We're just going to continue that service as he has provided a fine service for the department and the county.
Very good. Discussion, questions?
No questions here.
I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the yearly limited service agreement with the In-Process Treatment and Assessment, Inc., owner Scott Nagel, to provide quality assessment service for adult and juvenile offenders of sex crime, adult and juvenile probation for 24.
I'll second it.
And I'll make that unanimous. And lastly,
Thank you. And the last one is a limited service agreement with Family Transition of Arizona, LLC, to provide adult sex offender counseling, group and individual counseling. The terms and the pricing, the itemization, that all remains the same. The difference here is prior to this year, we were working with Counselor Tom Romero, providing this service. He is actually, he's an associate of Family Transitions of Arizona, and he is currently serving as the CEO of Family Transitions. So we decided to actually contract directly with this. It's essentially a consortium that has multiple contracted, licensed therapists. So we see this as a way to expand the services that can be provided, including services for victim treatment and helping family members and things like that. So again, the items don't really change, the numbers don't change, but we'll be working directly with Family Transitions of Arizona, which is still has Mr. Tom Romero, but it will expand the providers that we can work with.
okay. Thanks for that explanation on the transition to change. Any other discussion, questions?
No. I'll make a motion to approve the yearly limited service agreement with Family Transitions of Arizona, LLC, to provide adult sex offender counseling group and adult probation for 24.
I'll second it.
I'll make that unanimous. Thank you, and I wanted to also thank you for following through and getting the insurance, the liability limits included in that so that we had that on record. I hope that we're never in a position where we have to, look that up and see what the limits are, but thank you very, very much.
For sure, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
And you've had a rough couple weeks. I was at that service, but I didn't go to the graveside, but I understand that Josh was there as a representing the county and had a little tribute to Andy McDonald as a result of him being an employee. So thank you. I've heard other comments, but very well done.
Thank you. We had great support from the Sheriff's Office and Safford Police Department.
Very good. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, next we've got our county manager. We'll be discussing a drug and alcohol testing agreement with a local vendor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As you're aware, we do run random drug and alcohol testing for certain safety positions throughout the county. Also, anytime there's an accident or another issue, we also do drug and alcohol testing when necessary and appropriate. Our provider is Scott Medical Solutions. It has been for a couple years. So this is renewing the agreement at this time, just a 6-month, and the reason is we're just working through a couple logistical issues, procedural issues to be specific with their lab. Nothing major, but just some contractual language that we need to get in there, and it's a little slow coming. So we're happy with Scott Medical Solutions. We want to continue, but in about 6 months, we're going to come back with that additional language. This agreement is no change in pricing. What we've added is some Arizona revised statute required language that wasn't in the agreement previously. So no major changes and extending for another 6 months at the same cost.
Very good. Any discussion, questions?
None. Make a motion to approve the drug and alcohol testing agreement between Graham County, by and through the Graham County Human Resources Department and Scott Medical Solutions.
I'll second it.
And I'll make that unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have a huge item of business to discuss our preliminary budget. A lot of work has gone into a lot of excellent work has gone into preparing a preliminary budget, all the what ifs and can we do this, and looks like we can't do that. And thank you very much, Julie and Dustin and staff. And so we, it's been published, the preliminary budget. It'll be effective today, and there are also some personnel items, and I'm going to turn the time over to our county manager for that presentation, and then we'll deliberate on it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This will be a little lengthy, if you'll allow me, but it warrants a lengthy presentation.
You have 3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay. I'm not going to make that.
Okay.
With your permission, Mr. Chairman. We have been working on this budget since January, so it is quite a long process that the board is very involved with from the very beginning and very aware of these things. What I would like to do, though, is start with, we are already started this fiscal year, but I would just like to put a little mark in the sand and talk about what we accomplished last fiscal year here briefly. We finished fiscal year 23 with a general fund balance of $24.5 million, which is an increase of $10.48 million from the previous year. Of this increase, $7.55 million can be attributed to the American Rescue Plan Act federal funds that we received, which these are, of course, one-time funds. Of that $10.48 million increase in our general fund, $2.93 million is ongoing from our operational funds, and the remainder can be attributed to those federal dollars that will be used towards one-time projects. In the general fund, we finished well under budget expenses, so thank you again to all of our departments, our department heads, our elected officials. Continue to spend their budget very appropriately and responsibly. We finished $475,000 and change over our budgeted revenues, so we've continued to be blessed with a good regional and local economy. In the jail district, a lot of good news. We finished with a fund balance of $936,000. which is $309,000 more than last year. We've met our bond requirements for our reserve funds for the first time, and we've had these since 2015. We were able to save $1.39 million in those reserve funds for future jail district needs and/or future early refunding of bonds, which is something that back in 2015 we never would have even dreamed that would have been true. So we're very happy that the bonds have worked out very well, which is a tribute to the administration, part of this board back in 2015 for making some very good decisions that are definitely paying dividends going forward. In our highway user revenue funds, we finished with a fund balance of $5.18 million, which is about 300 less than last year, but we still have a healthy fund there, and we continue to build new roads and do good things. In our flood control, we finished with a fund balance of $527,000, which is about $80,000 more than last year. Just want to note some of the projects that we were able to accomplish last year. At our probation facility on the adult side, we were able to build an ADA path, create a new entrance and added parking. We began a very large $2.3 million replacement project for our tower equipment, radios, and dispatch and countywide communication equipment. We began a landscape and master drainage plan for the fairgrounds. We replaced the roofs on the duck pond, ramadas in the bathrooms. We constructed a new awning on our concession stand at the fairgrounds. On exhibit buildings 1, 2, 3, and 4, we insulated those buildings and painted the interiors, installed fans on buildings 3 and 4 and at the grandstands, and we added some more coolers on building 4 to make those buildings much more functional, not to mention bearable during the fair. We replaced 8 vehicles. We replaced, in addition, a Parks dump truck, a Parks water truck, purchased a commercial mower for the first time at the parks, which is kind of surprising. We replaced our long tenured front end loader for the highway yard, and we purchased a backup portable generator for the health department for emergency situations. We completed a very extensive painting project at the fairgrounds. We entered into a contract with the Gila Valley Samaritan Home to build a respite center, which is about 75% complete right now. We chip sealed our search and rescue parking lot. We cleared out and turned over our JP2, Justice of the Peace 2 court over in Pima, back to Pima, and successfully consolidated our courthouses down to 1 court that sits now at the Safford Courthouse. We remodeled the Justice of the Peace court offices along with the judge's bench. Over in Planning and Zoning, we began a new hearing officer process, which thus far has been fairly successful. We began pesticide treatments on the fire breaks over in the Gila River and have done 2 and some 3 on some of those breaks. We transferred our equipment maintenance program over at the jail from our Kubo software to APIC and have realized some savings there. Performed significant drainage repairs on Morris Lane, applied a sand seal application on Buena Vista Road, completed a significant washout repair on Armory Road, replaced culverts on Safford Bryce Road. We built 2 new roads on some existing right-of-ways by double chip sealing and doing some drainage improvements on 47th Street and 12th Avenue. We remodeled the highways offices and added a conference room. We installed the emergency connection switch at the fairgrounds for our emergency generator. We rebuilt our playground and playground equipment after the fire at the fairgrounds. We began and continue 2 extensive studies through NRCS, which is grant money dealing with flooding and drainage, specifically for Stockton Dam on one project, and then a county-wide study called the Gila Valley Watershed Assessment, doing a county-wide flood assessment. We secured $1 million plus for a grant from the Department of Arizona Fire and Forestry to build a low-water crossing on Klondike Road across Cottonwood Wash. And finally, we, for the 2nd year in a row, got first place in the light parade. Of course, there's several more accomplishments throughout the whole county. I just wanted to highlight those few. So enough about last year. So this coming year, for fiscal year 2024, Mr. Chairman, you already mentioned it, we have a preliminary budget that is addressed on these forms provided by the state of Arizona. We do not create these forms. They're provided to us. They can be a little difficult to read and understand. So I'll kind of give a general overview of them, but if anyone is interested, it has every revenue that we're projecting to receive for fiscal year 24, and in every department, it has their proposed budgets. So all expenses, all revenues, fund balances, everything is included in this preliminary budget forms that, as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, has been posted publicly according to Arizona revised statutes. Up until this point, we have had several budget hearings, one with every single department throughout the county, and several with the board to hone in on this budget that we're presenting. This budget represents a general fund of $46.7 million. Some of the larger special revenue funds includes our Dell district of $5.4 million, our highway user revenue fund of $10.1 million, which includes their fund balance. All of these include their fund balances as well. Flood control of about $500,000. And this represents a total budget of $116 million. Now, there are a lot, as we build these budgets, we have to build capacity and grant opportunities. So that 116, we surely will not spend anywhere near that, but it includes capacities to go out and get grants. One good example of that is we hope to get a $15 million grant to rebuild Safford Bryce Road. We don't know if we will, but we have to build that capacity to be able to receive it and then spend it. And those amounts also include all of our fund balances. We still have over $6 million that we will be receiving from American Rescue Plan Act dollars. This is through what we call our extra payment in lieu of taxes, that all counties that have public lands will receive. This will be more relief to the general fund and will be set aside for one-time projects. As far as personnel requests go, as you know, Board of Supervisors, we have meticulously gone over all of the several requests that we received for additional personnel. Each request was researched and analyzed in depth, and this budget represents about half of those requests are included in this budget based on merit and priority. This budget includes a market increase for all employees. This market increase entails a 2.5% increase plus a $2,000 increase, and both of these will be applied on the base pay for each employee. So that more detailed information will be coming at our scheduled meeting later today at 3:45. This budget also includes several projects and initiatives. The Board of Supervisors is very familiar with this list that Julie includes. It's a four-page giant spreadsheet that I tell Julie this becomes our Bible out after the board approves it, and this is what we work on for the next 12 months. So I am not going to include every single item on here because there are many, but I do want to just highlight some of the bigger projects and initiatives that are included in this budget. These include installing security locks and cameras over in victim witness and around the county attorney's office. It includes completing the Harris software install for the Treasurer's Department. Includes pursuing the survey and purchase of the state-owned lots and parcels over in Little Hollywood. Contributing matching funds to construct a search and rescue training facility. Replaces the windows at the courthouse and paints that facility. We'll continue to re-roof ramadas over at the playground and re-roof the animal control facility. Adds capacity to the veteran monument plaques at the courthouse. Finishes the refurbishes the old playground shade that burned down. Those structural elements are still sound, and we'll be using those to build a shop awning over at the fairgrounds. Replaces several drinking fountains at the fairgrounds, rebuilds a fairground display sign that sits on Highway 70. There's a little known secret that we own Central Park, not the Central Park, but a park over in Central, and this budget includes refurbishing that park, install smart thermostats at the jail and here in the General Services Building. It replaces all the AC units at the Health Department, includes running a gas line, installing heaters over at Building 4 at the fairgrounds, replaces 10 more vehicles, replaces the countertops at the fairground concession stands, continues the master landscape and drainage plan at the fairgrounds. This next item is a long-awaited rewrite of our planning and zoning ordinance, which will be a substantial project. Includes matching funds to build a Gila River linear park, continues the $2 million plus upgrade to our radio towers, dispatch and communication system, construction awning over at the highway yard on their offices, replaces a tractor and transport trailer and adds a box cannon and mower for the highway department, purchases a trailer-mounted message boards and speed radar signs, repairs the Fort Thomas crossing, provides a double chip sill to build roads on Watson Lane, Emory Road, and Foote Avenue, design and construct a low water crossing on Lebanon Loop, finishes the playground project, installing the rubber floor over at the playground. It includes a redesign and rebuilds of the intersection of Norton Road and Ray Lane, designs and builds a bridge over Tally Wash on Safford Bryce Road, finishes the low water crossing on Klondike Road over Cottonwood Wash. We will continue pursuing broadband grants through the ACA, the Arizona Commerce Authority. Finishes the remodel of the respite center with the Gila Valley Samaritan Home. Continues payments to our PSPRS, which is our Public Safety Retirement Fund, and continues to pay down that unfunded liability. Improves the drainage around Eden Bridge, constructs a low water crossing at the second crossing on Clough Ranch Road. Over on Solomon Road, we have a rough area. We continue to battle some bad soil over there, so this includes a repair of that Solomon Road area. More culvert replacements on Safford Bryce Road and also on Wagon Wheel. Paints the facilities at the highway yard and continues those large flood studies on Stockton Wash and the Gila Valley watershed studies. So that's not an all-inclusive list, but just some of the larger projects and initiatives we see going forward. But overall, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I just want to say we continue to aim to have a conservative approach to budgeting. This includes, for the 5th year in a row, a decrease in our property tax. 5 years ago, we were at $2.99 per thousand. This budget represents $2.22 of a tax rate per thousand. So that's a decrease of 25% over the last 5 years. And our goal each year is to maintain a high level of service to our county residents at the lowest cost possible. And as you know, board, we are amongst the lowest counties when it comes to cost per resident of our county government, which we're very proud of. So with that, Mr. Chairman, we present this preliminary budget for fiscal year 23-24 to you and ask for your acceptance of this budget.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I would also note, not that there were a number of things which didn't make the list, which are improvements, but also the county was in a position to assist community-based organizations. So I believe at $60,000 or so funding for community-based organizations. And so that is important too. And I would just, my other remark is that we, having served for 6 years now on the board and coming in when we, and our chief financial officer, when we had a $2 million, what's the name of that, where you actually, if you overwrite your check, it was a check override, line of credit, $2 million, and we would often be near the $2 million credit limit, and that means negative $2 million. And I would just express my gratitude for both the people and for the industry and just the blessings that our county has received over the last 6 years and during my tenure. I know we've been blessed prior to that, but it's we are very blessed. We are in better shape than we've been. Lots of room for improvement, but it is I think we'll look back on these years and say those were some extraordinary years. We took the lemons of COVID and turned them into lemonade, and have really been blessed. So, but I will, any other discussion, any other comments?
I just want to thank everyone, department heads, elected officials, our staff is amazing. I witness it with my own eyes, how hard they work and the numbers and the things we talk about. It's just an honor to be on this team and to keep our county running the way it's run and offering the services we do and trying to keep care of our employees is one of my big pet peeves to do. You can't run a county without happy employees, and I think we've got to that plateau that our employees believe in us and that we support them, and that means a lot to them and me. But hats off to our whole team. We are a team here, and I'm proud to be part of it.
You get a chance. You're brand new. You're coming in at the top. Maybe not. Maybe there's going to be a long, steady, positive trajectory. Maybe that's that'll be the hallmark of your tenure. But we're glad to have you. We know that you have worked hard. That you are as a citizen and as a businessman, that you understand the importance of budgets and surpluses and saving for a rainy day. So,
And I worked for the county in 2005, and I remember the struggles of not having any money, and so I think it's awesome where the county's at now. It's very impressive.
Thank you very much. I'll entertain, if there's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion for approval of this budget.
I will make a motion to approve of the 2023-24 preliminary budget effective 7/17/23 with all personnel items retroactive to 7/15/2023.
I'll second it.
I'll make that unanimous, and that budget is approved. And raises are part of that, and there'll be details this afternoon. Okay, 2 items of business left. One is a report for board members of their stewardship activities over the last couple of weeks. We'll begin with our county manager, since she's already warmed up.
I don't have anything else to report, Mr. Chairman. I probably didn't say Julie's name enough in my report. I just want to thank her, and we've all seen how many hours she's put in. She has to do the budget and the audit at the same time. And I just want to give her just kudos one more time and thank her so much for all her hard work and efforts putting this budget together. Thank you, Julie. That's my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And then you've had a busy 2 weeks, momentous 2 weeks.
Just a learning process.
Okay, drinking from a fire hose, huh?
Okay. Yes, sir.
You know about fire hoses too, don't you? Okay, Vice Chairman?
Yeah, I'll be brief. I had an opportunity on the 7th to attend a meeting, and I got to talk to a couple of our legislators, Gail Griffin and Lupe Diaz. Great conversations and just trying to keep them relationships going. And then on the 10th, I attended a Mount Graham Hospital meeting and discussed the possibilities of new procedures on certain emergency cases that I thought was pretty interesting and informative. On the 11th, attended a meeting in Casa Grande about transportation needs, but most importantly, I attended that meeting to open up some more relationships with different legislatures that I want to get to know and try to have good relationships. And then on the 12th, Downtown Association meeting, already planning Mary Main Street Light Parade. Here we go again. Gonna have a float there, I suppose. Then on the 13th, attended a webinar on rural broadband funding, and I'm just as confused today as I am before I attended it. I thought the funding was supposed to be pretty easy, but I can see it's not gonna be, so yeah, confusion still holds there, so that'll be the end of my report.
Thank you very much. During the shortened work week of the July 4th week, most of my efforts were just catch up, and also attended several meetings for Arizona Department of Housing for our local committee to end homelessness, and working on the respite center. The next week, hit the ground running. Traveled to Bisbee, and they're replacing Randy Heiss, their executive director, who is retiring at the end of the year. And so we had an interview panel in person, and we are going to reopen because that just for your information, the top salary level is $90,000, and the candidate interviewed and expressed interest, and then said that he wouldn't work for less than 100, start for less than 110. So we figured that we'd been played and time to reset. Went to the skin cancer screening. Excellent services that are provided, and got a few little pre-cancerous areas frozen, and it's great. It saves you from having to go to the doctor's office, so that was good. Thank you. And Historical Society meeting the following night, a homeless veteran summit. There was a local community homelessness meeting, and then the Desert Cat Board of board meeting, and then Thursday there was the webinar that they've got $980 million that they're giving to broadband, but a lot of that is they've got these rules, and so we're on it. We're going to apply for as much as we possibly can, but it is a competitive, and people are already sharpening their knives, and it's going to be tough to get in and compete for that money, but we are hopeful, and we'll do all that we can. The following, on Friday, spent a good part of the day visiting with Chairman Rambler and also with Vance Bryce. They're working on an Apache Day at sometime in the spring, like Globe has, and they're looking forward to that. Worked with him on a couple other issues, engaged with him on some other issues, and he also facilitated a discussion with our area administrator on some highway improvements that he's anxious to see, and is working with the county. We'll work with the county on bringing some resources to bear for that corridor. And then went to Andy McDonald calling hours and represented the county, and then his funeral, and that was tough. And so that's my report. Thank you. Our last item of business is a call to the public, and if you've waited all this time for 50 minutes, then thank you for waiting. Here's your chance. Anyone online? Okay, and before we have to pay our bills, and so we would like to to discuss paying our bills and get a motion to pay our demands and handwritten warrants.
Make a motion to approve the demands and handwritten warrants.
I second it.
Okay, thank you. An excellent meeting. We actually have, I think, 3 weeks until our next board meeting, so we've got a little time. It's not time off, but we've got some time. And I would just ask you in closing whether you are religious or not. We need some relief from the heat and some rain. So however you appeal to higher authorities, I would ask you to join me in appealing, asking for blessings of rain for we've had our first little forest fire, the tail end of the Coronado Forest, and our Heavenly Father knows that what we need, but sometimes it's like kids and parents, you got to ask first, so help us ask. And with that, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Paul.